And so we recorded an EP, and as a result of that EP, our message was getting across in the way that we knew it was getting across because we had a lot of great responses from parents and things that saying their kids had, started to, try to do something with their lives, and they were very much interested in our music and our message and what we had to say. And for some reason, our music and our message ended up out there in Hollywood, and they wanted, you know, we end up being nominated for a Grammy for this EP against Peter Gabriel, Sinead O'Connor, Billy Joel. And however, we did not win the Grammy, and my intentions weren't for a Grammy or anything, but our message did get out there and reach, the public, so it did afford us that, you know. And I thought that we had won something much greater than a Grammy because a Grammy is only something that would have sat on a shelf somewhere. So, what we walked away with was much greater than that. As I said, we walked away with knowing that we were helped to turn some of them children's lives around.
Topic is criminal justice. Okay, you were the youngest of 15 siblings in Camden, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Describe your growing up in that area.
Well, growing up in that area was, as you know, most urban cities. Growing up around 15 brothers and sisters. My brothers and sisters, most of them were pretty much into other things. However, I was one who gravitated more towards the streets. I live not far from Rutgers State College in Camden, New Jersey. And I lived on this side of the Ben Franklin Bridge, which takes you to Philadelphia, and Rutgers University was on the other side of the bridge. And I liked the things that I saw on the other side of the bridge, which was tennis court, swimming pools, and different things at Rutgers State University. And it's just strange that Rutgers, however, led me to my first incarceration because I enjoyed going over there and seeing the beauty of the green grass and everything. Because the security guard, ran me away from there a couple of times. However, one day I had my dog with me, and he said, "Didn't I tell you don't come over here no more?" And and my response was, "Didn't I tell you to leave me alone?" So I kind of like put my dog on him. My dog chased him. That particular day, he didn't get me, and at that time they didn't carry guns. And the following week, he caught me and apprehended me, and he took me to juvenile detention. That was my first brush with the law, as a result of me wanting to go over and visit Rutgers State University. You know, Camden, New Jersey, during that time was infested with drugs. It was infested with criminal activities and everything. I wanted to be grown at a different time when I was only actually 14 years old. I thought I was a grown man. You know, yes.
How would you consider your parents as far as raising you and your siblings
Well,
at that time?
I would say that I believe that my parents did everything that they can do as parents, and that it didn't have so much to do with them. It had as much to do with me. I was more so influenced by the streets of Camden, New Jersey, and the activities that were going on the streets, and not the activities that were going on at home. And like my parents, did their best with me, and you can't blame it on the parents. And in this day and time, a lot of people I hear them blame it on the parents. Well, the child is like this because of their parents, or they didn't raise them right. No, because there are people that do everything to raise their children, and that parents is no guarantee of how you're going to turn out. You know, but they did everything that they can do as parents. It was on me.
Okay, when describe life in prison to our youth who feels like committing a crime is a sign of achievement in today's society.
Wow, wow. Yeah, in today's society, yes, but A lot of people wear it as a badge of honor, and like, this is the only way that anyone's going to respect you or whatever is if you've been to prison or somewhere. And that is kind of like the concept in which most of our youth today take, and believe that nobody, you're nobody, just like, you just nobody, but that's not true, you know. But they believe that, and like I said, many of them wear that as a badge of honor. And there's actually no truth to that. And myself at the time, I never even thought about something in that way. Well, I'm nobody until I go to prison or do something or anything. Like I say, my situation, it just turned out it was more of a misadventure for me, of me, and what happened to my best friend. It was more so that it had nothing to do with, well, I'm out here in the streets, and unless I go in there, I ain't gonna be nobody. No.
Describe that feeling when you committed that ultimate crime of murder, especially committing that to one of your friends, someone you knew.
Well, I hope I can describe it. I'm gonna describe it as best as I can. That particular day, like, number one, when a person goes out sometimes and there's a murder or something or a shooting, anything, you have no idea that that's going to happen. I didn't get up that day and say I'm going to go out today and I'm going to kill someone or anything. I had no intentions of doing anything like that. What actually happened was that I was using drugs. I started using drugs at the age of 14, actually, which was heroin. And another friend that was with me, we wanted some, and there was a particular person that sold drugs and sold that, but we were so young, that particular person wouldn't sell them to us, so we sent somebody else. And what happened was the guy finagled me out of $90 worth of drugs. And and when he returned, he said, "I don't have the money, the drugs, that someone beat him out of it, meaning someone took it, you know." And I didn't believe it, number one. And so I went back to where we sent him to purchase it, and I asked the gentleman there, had he sold this gentleman some, and he said yes. But and right during that time, as I returned and was asking this guy that, I ran into my friend, the very friend that had lost his life, and we greeted each other because I hadn't saw him in about 3 years. And while talking to this friend, we hugged each other and everything. I saw the guy that had purchased, supposedly had, we sent to purchase drugs for me, and while talking to him, a group of people yelled out, Maxwell, the car, because I was driving the car at the time. The car had jumped out of gear some way. So I ran over to the car to put it in park. And when putting the car in park, I noticed the guy pulling up in the truck. And I had spoken with the guy, and he said yes, he had sold him the drugs. One of my other friends, there was a gun on the floor, of the car. So I was very angry and everything. And when I grabbed the gun off of the car floor, and I ran over to him. I believe I hit him with slapped him across the face or something with the pistol. And I said, "I want my money or my drugs." He said, "I don't have either of them." And when he said that, he took off and he started running. So again, as I said, I was very enraged at that time. I grabbed it and I fired four reckless shots, and one of those stray bullets crossed and hit an innocent bystander who happened to be my very best friend, the gentleman that I had just spoken with moments before. And this gentleman, he had no brush with the law, never been in any type of trouble. He used to work down at the community center and helping the kids, showing them how to box, showing them how to swim, and all these things. I didn't know anyone had got hit by a bullet until a gentleman walked over to me and say, "Why did you hit that guy? Why did you shoot that guy?" I said, "Shoot what guy?" I said, "Well, I didn't mean to shoot anyone." So the crowd started to come towards me, and me, in fear and everything, I just took off, and knowing what I had just done, and knowing what I had just done, you know, it was just like I don't know what to do. So again, I just took off and I left and I went on a run for a couple of days and I went to New York City. While in New York City, I learned the identity of that person, and I also, learned that that person was on life support and everything. And I learned the identity of that person, and when they gave me the person's name, and I discovered it was my best friend. I decided that I wanted to turn myself in. So I had reached out to the sheriff's office, and I told them, that as a result, if that was the bullet, and that in my knowledge, I was the only one firing the gun, and that I was the person. You know, yes.
Mm. So when you turn yourself in, I mean, how did that make you feel inside, knowing that you were confessing to a crime?
Well, before I actually turned myself in, it was supposed to be 11 o'clock. They had apprehended me, but still, um, I was just, I was devastated by the fact of what I had just did, and taking my best friend life. I was shattered. Not only because of the fact that it was my best friend, that I had taken a human life within itself. So it was more so for me of a double tragedy at the time. You know, I mean, how do I live with this? What do I do? And they had some people that had secret indictments on them, and they wanted to come up out of that. So he kind of like they gave details of what supposedly had happened, and in that they didn't tell the truth, and they said that this particular guy was trying to him. But somewhat in a way, what helped me was that I wasn't sentenced on a felony murder, even though murder is a felony within itself. I was sentenced just for the act of murder, for doing the commission of a crime. And I was a person, I had no gun license or whatever. And in New Jersey state law at the time says a person, that is committing a crime during the course of this, and should there be a death or something, you will be charged with knowingly and purposely. And what helped me find knowingly and purposely murder was that if I had enough sense, they're saying, to leave the scene of the crime, they tried to say that in a way that I knew what I was doing because I had enough sense to leave and know that I'd done something wrong. And I never denied that. Yes, I know that I did something wrong. That is the whole purpose of me. And that's why I left. Excuse me.
While in prison, what possibly changed around from that energy from the negative to the positive to start your group, your musical group?
Yeah, well, while in prison, when I first went to prison in 1980, I didn't just stop or anything, say I'm not going to do anything. So I continued somewhat of the lifestyle that I was living out there. I continued that somewhat with the same attitude, same mentality for a while. And, I continued to get into things while in prison, confrontations with the correction officers and confrontation with other prisoners in there sometimes.
So what was the moment that you started, getting to doing that positive thing?
Uh, After a while of being in there and getting into things, it just was like this light bulb in my heart and stuff, and thinking about what had happened and then taking my friend's life. At some point, I just thought, after about 9 years, that this all can't be in vain. Something has to come out of this. Something good has to come up out of this. So I would say about 9 years after being in prison, and becoming involved in the lifers group at that point, and seeing that that was an opportunity and the possibility of, like I didn't want anyone to become, what had happened to me in my life, or to have to, follow, my path. So that's when at that point, like about 9 years and being involved with the Lifers Group, I said this might be an opportunity, might be able to get our message out there to them as a whole, the Lifers Group, not just for my victim, but for other people in general.
How were the people selected to be in your group?
Well, you have well, we had a screening committee number one, and if you continue about at things that were going on inside the prison, couldn't remember. Uh,
Go ahead, sir.
hear you. I didn't hear anything you said. The voice, I didn't hear what you just said.
No, sir. What?
Oh, as I was saying, they had a screening committee, and they would have to be selected by a committee of four, and you evaluate them based off of what they were doing at the time with their selves and where they getting themselves together. That is how they became selected for that group right there. And if they had a rape or something, no, they couldn't be involved with that group because we were dealing with parents, we were dealing with kids coming inside the prison there, and they just thought, hey, we're not going to select, someone with such a crime to be a part of the Lifers group. And but if you're talking about as far as the music aspect of it, those guys were selected as a result. Some of them were aspiring rappers. They were actually not Lifers group members. Some of them that recorded on the music. They were just guys that were in the general population, and that I went to some of them, a couple of them, and I said, I'm working on this project. I'm trying to send a message out there to our youth, so they don't end up in here like we were and like we did. And so I said, if you were to, you know, share a message or something, you know, so they wouldn't end up in here, what would you say to them? So, I kind of like asked them, if they could put that in a rap format for me. And so that's how they became a part of it. But they were not actual Lifers Group members, most of
Okay.
them, just a few of them.
Okay. Describe that feeling when your project got nominated and you got that letter that came to the president.
Well, I couldn't. I was like extremely excited at one point, but I couldn't believe it, because as I said, I didn't anticipate anything like that. It wasn't about being a part of the music industry or anything, or like I said, I was extremely excited, and then not just excited because of it being nominated, but because of the people who they had put up against Madonna, Sinead O'Connor, Billy Joel. Like, I was just overwhelmed that they considered that, hey, this music was worthy enough or whatever. You know?
So that means that your music was, you know, some one of the best in the country.
Well, if that's how I didn't consider it as one of the best, but I would say, in the light of this is what I would say that would make me feel why it would be at the best at the time, because of what we were doing in the message in the music. It wasn't about music. We weren't recording artists or anything, but the purpose of the whole project. So, in that light, I would say it was one of the best because I didn't know anybody else that was doing anything of its kind. So musically comparing, I wouldn't say that, but because of its intention, I would say yes, it was one of the best at that time.
So what is Mr. Melvin doing now with your projects?
Well, I'm working on several projects. I'm working with the Die Jim Crow project. Die Jim Crow project is a nonprofit record label based in New York, and with that project.
Thank you, freeze up. Okay, we're having a problem with Mr. Melvin. He's out. Okay, well, we're running short on time. I'd like to thank your audience, and hopefully we'll have Mr. Melvin to come back on the show to talk more about the Lifers Group. Thank you for watching the show, and you be encouraged. Thank you.